Welcome to 20 Questions by Sid Deshmukh,
Yeah. Okay.
where yes and no are not allowed.
Yes and no, and maybe also is not allowed.
Are,
Maybe it's also not.
are not allowed.
Welcome everybody to Is That So? And today, what we have for you is a particularly controversial topic. But before I introduce the topic to you, I just want to ask a very quick question to you, which has, by the way, Mr. Swapnil Kumar, a yes or no answer. First question is: Are you religious?
Oh, very.
Okay, so Swapnil says very. How about you, Krishni?
Partially.
Okay, lovely. So, and I'm kind of agnostic. So this is wonderful. I just wanted to set a little bit of context. Try
Sounds
to
like
figure out.
you're agnostic. You're agnostic. I am in a house where my son a few days back was playing on his Xbox. He was
Right.
playing one of these multiplayer games, and he told the other guy, "You are as useless on this team as religion is to the world." So you can understand. You can
Well,
understand his religious beliefs for sure.
good. So if you've not kind of recognized the topic of today, if not, well, that is the topic. It's all around religion, but focusing on how can religion inform marketing. So because all three of us are in marketing and business and all that jargony
Mm.
stuff, but we thought, one of the things that we were wondering, can we look at culture? Can we look at stuff which we normally don't consider? And one of the things is religion. Yeah, one
Yeah.
of the things is religion, and try to figure out how does religion kind of inform marketing. And I wanted to keep it, as light and frothy as possible. Try to figure out whether we
Yeah.
can and learn something from it at the end with some insights, but figure out what we think where religion has actually informed marketing the best. So maybe the best
Hmm.
way is to figure out through examples, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of open it out to both of you. Maybe I'll ask Krishni first. I think Krishni had spoken before the podcast that we started recording about
Yeah.
how a very fascinating example. Maybe you can start with that or any other, Krishni. How do you think religion informs marketing?
Yeah. So I feel like the cool thing, and yes, I'm using cool and religion in the same sentence, is that I think it starts with a lot of storytelling,
Mm,
right? And maybe a generation doesn't buy into it, and the example sort of comes to mind where I'm not overly religious, but I am somewhat religious,
mm,
in the sense that I think I'll respect my parents and I am religious, so I'll never tell them I'm eating chicken on Tuesdays, or the
mm,
fact that I forgot or I skipped a day or two, or maybe sometimes weeks and months, to
mm,
actually go and say, "Oh God, please take care of our family," or something like just that much. Because I think we've had really heated arguments at my place, like
mm,
before I got married with my parents, where my dad has literally shut the door in my face and left the room, like, how can you say this, like, how can you have this belief?
mm,
And I've been like, because it doesn't make sense. And the
mm,
argument was that I was telling my husband, I think it was his first day at work or something, like he was switching companies. So I was like, acha mandir mein matha tek lo, or something, like, just like put your hand and just say thanks God, we got all this opportunity and everything. And he had worn his shoes, bag packed, ekdam dahi chini, all the process was done, whatever parents had coached us on. And then he's like, okay, I'll go. And I'm like, chappal to utar do.
oh, wow.
And he was on his way to work, so he's like, this is like Bangalore, he's traveling in, so evidently his office place is like 1 hour away. If we argue for 10-15 minutes, clearly that becomes 2 hours because he's missed the bus
Mm,
on reaching time. And that's what the argument led to. I mean, here we are arguing, क्यों मैं चप्पल पहन के जाऊं? God only invented this slipper, then why
mm.
do I need to be there? And that just debate turned out into such a
Love
big
it.
thing.
I love it. God only invented this slipper, so why should I not wear what God has invented to
I,
God's
I,
house?
I love
Why
this
does,
one. No, I
why does
love this
God
one. Huh?
matter?
I am reminded of this. I am reminded of this episode where one devout Christian lady in US was campaigning against masks during COVID,
Hmm.
right? And someone and their whole argument was, if God wanted us to wear masks, they would have given us those masks by birth. To which
Wow.
someone's reply was, well, God also brought us into
give
this world
give us a
naked,
brain.
right? So
Why?
yeah, so
Was this
Yeah.
the canon video, the
yeah,
chick
so
who
he's
was
born
carried?
naked, right?
Wow.
Huh,
I don't know
sorry.
what. I don't even know where to begin by responding to what Swapnil has said, but incredible. But Krishni, where coming back to you, sure, that's a really interesting insight into human behavior. How is it kind of informing marketing?
Informing marketing. So I feel religion of all the things has very good storytelling. Like last, I think 10 years, the buzzword in marketing has been like every brand needs to have a story. The story
Hmm.
of your religion,
Hmm.
where it all started, the Big Bang stuff that you need to bring. And a lot of brands miss that piece. Brands been bolungi like companies that sell products, they miss that piece and they are essentially not brands then. Because you have to have a very good story. And you see any
Hmm.
religion,
Hmm.
be it like Hinduism, Sikhism, Muslims, like sorry, Muslims not like a religion, like but
And yeah,
you get the drift, right?
yeah.
Or Christianity, right? They all have a very strong narrative कि एक बेचारा बहुत perseverant बंदा था, उसने कुछ story ढूंढी, दुनिया was like, all in shambles and inner peace, or some story of struggle is there, which then triumphs, some sort of evil, and
Hmm.
it grips the person like wow. And I feel like if their objective is building confidence in people, how to get through everyday life, it's a
Hmm.
phenomenally marketed product, because that sort of story sells really well. Like, this guy who was like so poor, or like Jesus, he was hit with nails and everything, and he still fought, and see how the world is a better place because of it. The world still stuck there. We are probably stepping into World War III, but
Yeah.
hey, great storytelling.
Interesting. So the points I'm getting from you is the story arc, the storytelling arc, and how it impacts, how it can be used by marketers a little strongly. By the way, Swapnil and Krishni, I got a question for you. What's the difference between a cult and a religion?
I
Okay.
Aha.
It's a good one.
So I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'll tell you my definition, but
The
let
difference
Swapnil go.
between cult and religion is scale.
Interesting. I'll tell you the difference between a cult and a religion from my perspective. In a cult, the main guy is still alive.
That's what I was gonna say, because
No,
it's
cult
worshipping
is
a real
no,
life
but
human being.
In a
cult for
cult,
me is just a matter of scale.
no, see, you're being very serious about it. I'm not.
Hmm.
I'm just saying, in a religion, the main guy is dead.
No, no, I am sorry. I'm saying I might be religious myself, but I
Right.
am absolutely open to hating all of them equally. By the way,
No, no, I
or,
know.
or
Yeah,
no, I should not say something so controversial. I love all of them equally.
love all it. Absolutely. And by
Which
the
is
way,
simple
I
to
am
say.
totally. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Go.
I was planning to pick up the point that she talked of storytelling, and in fact,
Mm,
uh, I actually think that storytelling comes from a very different angle into religion. Yeah,
mm,
and that's what the brands need to learn. See,
mm.
stories are a way to ease the process of understanding whatever is being told,
Yeah.
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Stories are like these. Well, it's the car that will take you from one point to another point, right?
Mm,
And the fact that what stories also do is that they go down generations because they can be told.
absolutely.
So stories fundamentally to religion are the vessels in which they carry the message,
Mm,
right?
mm.
And all stories were created with this perspective of saying, hey, there has to be a lesson, and there has to be some message, and there has to be a hero and an anti-hero, which is a quintessential structure, because you have to build in some level of intrigue and enjoyment into a story. The point that we were that kind of connects. So stories actually come from a perspective of landing the message that will work with these people,
Yeah.
right? Now, whether it's a cult or religion, story is what will get people to believe,
Mm,
right? Which is why you have these stories of people, the so to speak leader touching them, and they going into this shock, and then after that, well, and there are miracles that have happened across religions, but those are all stories that you create to ensure that people find a reason to believe,
Hmm.
right?
But
And
so
Patagonia does that, and Patagonia does that amazingly well.
let me press you on this a little, because what Krishni was saying, that it should inform storytelling. So, in addition to storytelling, what can religion, give to marketing, from your perspective?
I'll come to the I'll come I wanted to come to the second point. So storytelling for me is fundamentally integral to religion, simply because it packages everything very beautifully.
Hmm.
So storytelling is critical from a packaging perspective. But
Yeah.
I think the point that Krishni started his story with brings out the element of rituals and symbols. First day
Hmm.
at work, dahi kha ke jana, chappal nahi pehne hain, this or I think a big part of what religion has done and what brands should learn
Yeah.
is creating these rituals and symbols. Yeah, because that gives you an
Absolutely.
identity which is not taken or by anyone else,
So
right?
good.
I
Because
think of one
we
brand that
keep
has
talking
done
of the
this.
fact, we keep on talking of brand differentiation, right? One
Hmm.
of the ways, because consumers always work with heuristics, they don't have the time to go into what your brand essence is. They'll go with the fact that, hey, Dove is all simple colors, and Garnier is all shiny colors, and that's what they're working with,
Hmm.
right? They don't have the time to understand. So when you have heuristics, then you create rituals and symbols that are the easy way to process,
I have a thought, on
right?
what you said.
And
This is
that's what religion does really well.
so good. Yeah, this is so good. So, let me just build on this a little, right? So, you know how marketing is going all performance marketing driven thing, and brand building is finding it really difficult to actually establish or re-establish itself, because what is visible and what is not abstract is performance marketing. Okay, conversion ho raha hai, itne, whatever, right? But now, if I am a brand manager, I will actually say, hey, do you know how religions work? Internal discussion between, say, a performance marketer and a brand manager, or
Yeah.
somebody who's like divvying up the
Yeah.
budget. I would say, listen, look at rituals, look at symbols, look at storytelling. And if you don't have all of this, you're going to fail. So imagine if the performance marketer actually looks at the brand manager as God, or religion, and looks at, okay, you create those symbols, you create those rituals for me so that my performance will become better. I think that's a metaphor that can work really strongly. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Like
See,
I
I'm
have
saying,
this. Sorry, go
and,
ahead.
and I'm saying it's not that brands have not done them. Brands have done them so successfully, right? Everyone knows how to eat a Kit Kat.
Mm, mm,
Everyone knows how to exactly. Everyone knows how to eat an Oreo biscuit. Actually, if you think of it, my present industry, alcohol is all about rituals.
wow.
From
Somaras.
the kind of glass, if you go to Belgium, right, there are these big pubs that have 400, 500 different type of beers.
Mm,
The glass in which they are served, the way it is poured to how it is supposed to be drunk, everything is ritualized,
mm,
right? Everyone puts a lime wedge on a Corona bottle.
mm, mm.
That's ritual, and it's a successful ritual because fundamentally people do that,
Yeah. No,
right?
that's
Alcohol
fantastic.
is all about creating.
I
So,
also feel like some sort of symbols and signals help you. Like instantly, whenever I see a mandir on the road and we're still in the car, I'll have this thing to do this. Ki, okay, Jai ho gayi to God or something, right? And I feel that way. Apple also as a brand, for example, has those cues. Like the minute you spot white light coming out of somewhere, you know
mm,
you're around an Apple store. Like be it a very, very busy mall. Like I remember I think I was in Seattle or something, and I remember walking into this UW market, which is like a horizontal market, like CP. But instantly, Apple store stands out. आपको दूर से पता
mm.
चल जाएगा this is
सही
Apple
बात.
because they
Absolutely.
build to symbols that really stand out. Even their products, right? You know, whatever comes out of them is gonna have an eye before it,
That's so
like an
cool.
iMac,
No,
iPod.
this is
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
branding 101. Let me get to my point, right? I just wanted to share this with you. And for that, it needs a little bit of a joke and a little bit of a story, and then maybe I'll give you the whole thing. So I'm setting it up. I'm setting it up. Okay. So the first thing is Osho, right? It's not a joke, but he said, hey, God is for the poor, I'm for the rich. Okay, and probably that signifies the difference between, say, a cult leader and a religious leader really, really well.
Yeah.
The second thing is, Osho has spoken in one of his books something really interesting. He talked of the cat who was integral to meditation and prayer. So what happened was that there was this monk who used to pray, and he was like a revered leader, and this is Buddhism, some sort of thing. And so there was this cat who used to come and play, with the monk when they were all praying and meditating, and it used to go on and so forth. And then the monk passed away, and
Oh,
then they tried to meditate without the monk, and then they said, no, we want a cat. So then the cat came in, right? And so the cat was became part of it. The new monk or whoever the chief or whatever was, I'm terrible at this, but he started praying, and then the cat died. So the monk continued, but they said there's something missing. So then maybe what we need to do is actually have a statue of a cat. And so then everyone started kind of touching the cat before starting to pray and meditate and stuff like that. And this directly connects with those two things that you mentioned. I mean, Krishna's storytelling point, and Swapnil, your point about rituals and symbols. And I want to add in another one. What I realized was that religion co-creates these stories through its community. And I think that
absolutely.
that
And
is,
from day one.
you know, and that is a big lesson for brands, was what I thought. And
See,
probably Swapnil can talk more about this.
no, I agree. I'm saying I always keep on saying one thing, which is every brand needs to know what it is, and as
Hmm.
much as it should know what it is, it should also know what it isn't, which is fundamentally
Hmm.
what religion always says, right? It gains its power. It gains its powers from being different from someone else, right? And therefore, that is the association that community gives to it,
Hmm.
right? You have one place in the world which has three different religions,
Yeah.
right, who can't see eye to eye. I mean, the history is full of two of them at loggerheads with with each other throughout
Yeah.
the history of those three religions,
True.
right? And the fundamental is, and there is that old joke, right, where there are two armies standing, the flags look the same, yeah, but one says our duck army has to defeat the rabbit army because the symbol actually could be processed as duck or rabbit. But
Oh,
that's exactly what it is. Your association comes from deep loyalty. So that community building that you're saying, the
Hmm.
strongest brands in the world have the most loyal consumer base, right? Apple
Yeah.
continues to have its power coming in from these people who will buy an Apple product even when they know, again, people are selling technologies, this that Apple. I keep on telling the same thing. There was a Samsung ad that I saw which was all about this power, these many, this battery life, etc., etc., and Apple was like now in yellow, right? and and that's what they're able to pull across because they have such a strong, almost a fanatical following, right?
Hmm.
My days at Royal Enfield were very easy because of the same thing. We had such a strong community of people who just loved the product,
That's why I thought you will be
right?
the best
Was it
person for us to talk about
was it
this.
the best product? Not even by far,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Not even by far. It was not the best product in the world, but the love that people have for that brand is what gets them to keep coming back again and again and again. So
Yeah.
community helps brands in multiple ways. On one hand, you have got loyalty coming in. On the other hand, you've got an exclusivity coming in. That
Hmm.
whole point of brand differentiation comes from the fact that, hey, I associate with this, I don't associate with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a
Good.
question for this
Yeah.
group.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
I really want to ask this. So, आजकल the buzzword that's going on, everybody's going digital, virtual, and everything. And historically, like right from the time of the popes and the Romans and everything, religion has had some sort of a physical presence. So,
Hmm.
everybody is like, how does your brand evolve in the digital age? And they're selling all that. With this
That's cool.
new age media sort of reaching, I would say not a maturity, but like a growth spurt where
Hmm.
how do you see religion sort of picking this up? What are they doing well that other guys don't? Because I remember during COVID, like another story like Swapnil, I remember there was a story in the US where some 78 cars were stopped on the highway because they were all driving to a faraway church because they were like Jesus is going to save us from COVID.
Wow.
And the new news headline obviously read like, yeah, no
Yeah.
shit, Sherlock, Jesus is going to save you that way. But like inner presence, where world is getting remote, digital, how does this sort of evolve?
No, this is such an interesting point. This is such an interesting point. Let me first respond. I'll let Swapnil gather his thoughts till I do. Well, one of the things that I do recognize about religion is that it has the ability to create those physical places of worship. And I think that all of social media is going to a place wherein it is kind of either plateauing or declining. So we know the problems that Facebook or Instagram or they have. I'm not talking of the creator-led media like YouTube, but I'm talking of social media. Now, it is clear that abstraction of a community can kind of plateau it, and you kind of the parasocial relationships are not going to go beyond a thing. It's quite likely that the next invention in social media is actually informed by religion, wherein you actually have these Apple-like stores for, say, a Facebook or whatever, wherein there is a gathering of people in real life. Possibly, these are very raw thoughts, but it's quite likely that there will be physical turn of events for these social media that we are talking about. The Rotary Club of Pune West had something going for it because people used to actually get together, right, and actually speak to each other. So yeah, I think that's something that we can certainly take from religion. Swapnil, what do you think?
See, I think so. A little bit of a difference of thought, because I believe that digital, if you think
Mm,
about it, is fundamentally, like everything else, going to end up like a medium. What
mm,
I
Hmm.
mean by that, please understand, there was a phase where you had no options, so the only way to do something was physical,
mm,
right? And therefore, there is still a full group of people who will go to their clubs in the evening,
mm,
listen to bad music in a dingy hall, but going to club is like their
mm.
ritual, so to speak.
Correct.
Hmm.
But the point is, what digital has done is it obviously took away a huge barrier of physical presence,
Sure.
right? And the three of us are connecting on digital, right? But
Yes.
over a period of time, I believe it's a cyclical trend.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be a big community that will continue to gel and communicate and bond on social media,
Mm-hmm.
right? The youngsters, my 16-year-old, he's always on the phone, he's always chatting. These people don't talk,
Mm.
right? They'll keep on messaging for 3 hours instead of picking up the phone call and making that phone call and getting it done in 15. But I'm saying that's what they're getting to. So there's a
Yeah.
huge set of people who would continue to do this and then intersperse it with physical meetings, because in the end we are all human beings. But
Yeah.
fundamentally, if you think about it, your digital is breaking down the barrier of connectivity,
Sure.
right? That's
Yes.
what digital is doing. So it will continue to get people together because it is breaking it. It suddenly makes everything not bound by time zones, geographies, and the blah,
Yes.
right? When you want to talk to someone, they're available. Having said so, the inherent need for human beings to be social animals and meet someone will not go away. Yeah, which is why even after people swipe right on Tinder, they have to go and meet each other, right? so
Yeah.
so
So
so I think that's the way
yeah.
it will continue to evolve.
Okay, okay. You must be wondering why the pause on the episode. That is because we couldn't pack in all the insights in one go. Yes, religion is interesting. Of course, there are symbols, storytelling, and so much more that we spoke about today. Um, while I disagreed or agreed with some of the points, I think some very, very interesting points are coming your way in episode two or part two of this episode around is religion the greatest brand ever? So, more on how religions evolve over a period of time, questions around whether they're losing their touch, their sheen, coming up your way in part two, linked here.